How do we create better content? We've got to understand who the audience is. Naturally, sending an email to my team is a different tone than sending an email to an external party or to the chairman of the board. I'm using a different approach, and we've got to understand who that is. So, in my team, I might not go into, hi, Anel, I hope this email finds you well. Please, can you supply me with the following? Because we're team members and we've got regular contact and we've got an understanding that we don't need to do the pleasantries. They know that I'm not being rude. They know that this is to help them with the amount of email that they have. So they know fluffy bits. If you did the same thing to an external party, they might experience you as very rude, or they might experience the approach that you're doing as very directive. So we've got to be aware of the audience and tweak that communication accordingly. We've got to be very clear on what we're trying to communicate. What do we want the other person to do? Now, having been a corporate executive assistant for many, many years, 80% of the email I received, I had to try and figure out what the person wants. No wonder people are not giving us what we need if the outcome is unclear. What is the best format for the communication goal? Before you send that email, think to yourself, is email the best tool for the job? Because often we're sending more email than we need to because it's become a default. It's not necessarily the best tool. When it comes to sending WhatsApp messages or electronic messages, is a good alternative for you to send a voice note to your manager instead of a typed message. Think about what you're trying to achieve and how quickly you're trying to achieve it and what you want the other person to do. And then pick a channel, but be mindful about it. Be brief, land the plane, get to the point, and use simple language. Now, I am myself a second language English user. And for me, this was quite a profound article that I found. There was a study led by Dr. Daniel M. Oppenheimer, and he's based out of Stanford. And they actually did a study which proved that people who use simple, direct language are rated as more intelligent than those who use super long words, lots of terminology, trying to be more complex and more fancy. It actually makes you seem less intelligent. So I know that sounds counterintuitive, and I will share that article with you, but it's very important for us to use the simple language and be direct. Clear and concise sentence structures. Shorter sentences are much more effective. So always use that as a tool. Grammar, spelling, and punctuation. I know this makes me sound like an old lady, but these things are still critical, even if it's a team email. People judge you and your intelligence based off these emails. And you also never know where that email ends up. You might be sending something internally that then goes through the hierarchy and ends up on the CEO's desk. Please be aware that this still matters, even if our communication has become more informal. Now, the power of bullet points and bold. I want to show you the examples and show you how much easier it is for your brain to consume. So my first example is just a normal email. So the content is not really what matters here. So you don't need to try and read this while I've got this on the screen. I just want to show you I've taken the exact same email and I've done a second version. And look how much easier that reads. By making something bold, it jumps off the page. So this says, reminder, Exco Packs, close of business, 22 August. That immediately tells me what I need to do. Now, the second line says, standard formatting as supplied. It gives you the font and the size. Okay. Then look at the bullet points. Instead of having another paragraph, I've said, we need boom, boom, boom. Okay. Your brain takes this information in much less time because you've highlighted what you want the person to focus on. I know that this is not the correct grammar or the correct way of doing it, but we can't compare this to letter writing. We've got to make our email easier to consume. Another thing that I'm very fond of doing is to, when somebody writes a long email with a lot of touch points, I respond in a different color. Now, she says, hi, Anel. I say, hi, Nikki. She says, thanks for coming back to me. I say, thank you for confirming. You can absolutely pre-record. I say received with thanks. I will review and align with your requirements. You understand how I address every single touch point in her email one by one. This way, I'm not missing out on any of the information. I want to give this to you as a tip. This really helps me a lot, and it helps make sure that I've answered all the questions or I've addressed every issue raised in the email.